Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today, as you can see, we have what appears to be Pyke's followers. So let's just dive straight in, see what we think about these cards, maybe get a few clues as to what Pyke might bring. So we'll start on the left with a 2-mana 1/2 Redfin Hammersnout, which has Lurk. Of course, we're expecting Pyke to have Lurk and to be a Lurk deck between Shurima and Bilgewater. So 2-mana 1/2 Lurk, play, grant an enemy vulnerable. Now, of course, with Lurk, this is quite a good effect to have, something giving enemies vulnerable. Of course, we've already seen things like, what do you call it? Hired Gun as a 2-mana Bilgewater card that gives something vulnerable, but this, unlike Hired Gun, is a choosing of what gets the vulnerable, which seems quite strong. Would you play this in non-Lurk decks? I'm not sure. But in Lurk decks, this is a very powerful effect because, of course, you're going to get quite high attacks, and therefore you're probably going to be able to kill most things. You think of what is like traditionally like a terrible thing for aggro, a card like Radiant Guardian. With Lurk, if you give it vulnerable, you'll probably have quite a few things getting to 6 attack. So you could even potentially send like a 1-drop in to kill it and then, deal a ton of damage elsewhere. So pretty solid card for if this archetype is going to be a thing. I think that's quite good. Bloodbait, 1-mana burst speed, has Lurk on it as well. I said this, was it yesterday or the day before? That spells with Lurk made a lot of sense, and I don't think anyone really thought about it at first, but it definitely does help the archetype at all. It helps a lot because I think myself and others were getting worried that are you going to have to run like a 35 creature deck, because straight away that's like a big big problem for your deck, but it turns out they put Lurk on spells, which helps. So 1 mana, create a Snapjaw Swarm on the top of your deck. Interesting. So this could be quite good. So Snapjaw Swarm was the card we saw on the first day, was it? Which is the 2 mana 0/2. I start a free attack. Ooh, so this would be quite a really cool spell to play. So you're going to play this on your turn before you attack. And it's going to guarantee that you're going to hit Lurk before your attack, and also going to give you an attack for next turn as well, for free. And you're going to draw at least a 2-mana 1/2 because it will have Lurk and it will gain the attack. And, obviously if you've had Lurk before as well, it's going to be even more. And it's going to get you basically a rally attack, a rally of a card that's going to be somewhat bigger as long as you have, well, you're going to get the Lurk. So that seems like it's going to be an auto-include in the Lurk deck. I think it definitely helps the Lurk deck. The fact that you can kind of guarantee 2 things, that 1, you've got a Lurker on top of your deck, and 2, Snapjaw Swarm, I think, is a card that you're going to want. And because it's a create as well, that's pretty good, because that means you're going to get, you can run 6 Snapjaw Swarms, essentially, and I think that, for 2 mana, that's going to be one of your better cards to get. So that seems like a good card for this list, and perhaps makes the Pyke version of Lurk, like if you were running it not as a, Shurima and Bilgewater, if you're just running one side of it, I think that might make the Bilgewater side better already, just based off this card, pretty much. Because that seems quite good. The list. 0 mana, slow speed. Grant an enemy vulnerable. If it's already vulnerable, the strongest ally starts a free attack, challenging it. So I'm not sure if this is gonna if this is hinting that, there's gonna be some kind of vulnerable synergy with Pyke. It seems like there could be. Just because it says if it's already vulnerable, so I imagine, maybe Pyke will give vulnerable as well. I don't know. So, grant an enemy vulnerable. If it's already vulnerable, the strongest ally, starts a free attack challenging it. Now, what is good starting a free attack with, that you would definitely, would be your strongest ally? There's some Garen synergy with this. That seems quite an interesting idea. Garen, of course, has regeneration, benefits from the strike. You could use the vulnerable from Bilgewater cards. That seems like a good little synergy there. You know, there's also kind of general challenger synergy within Demacia as well, of course, where, you know, things like basically the cards that came with Jarvan, you know, will get things from challenging things as well. So there's some synergy with Demacia with this. Um, you know, because this doesn't necessarily fit the Lurk sort of package, which is why I'm wondering if, you know, Pyke might give vulnerable, because then it might fit Pyke better. But yeah, seems like a decent card. 0 mana to give some grant an enemy vulnerable, not give, grant an enemy vulnerable for 0 mana. That's pretty good. Like, you know, with certain combo decks, like, you know, that's basically essentially a free way of you know, removing something if you have something that's very beefy and will definitely live. Yeah, pretty good. Just a pretty good card, and getting free attacks is normally always pretty good. Obviously, scouts as well. Oh my god, why didn't I think about scouts? Scouts, when you start a free attack with scouts, you then get the rally as well. You get like the extra attack as well once you do it with scouts. So definitely gonna fit in scouts, of course. So that seems like scouts could be back on the menu based off this card alone, because it's a build draw card, and you know, obviously that's where scouts are already. Seems very good. Ripper's Bay, a 1 mana landmark with Lurk. I got a bit confused there because I'm used to it just saying landmark, but obviously it has 2 things on it. So, when allies attack, discard the top card of your deck if it doesn't have Lurk. This has Lurk itself. When allies attack, discard the top card of your deck if it doesn't have Lurk. Does that only happen? I'm guessing that only happens once, right? And it's not like it doesn't keep discarding till you find one with Lurk. I'm assuming. I don't think so. It says just discard the top card of your deck. So I'm assuming it's just the top one. Is that good? How does that work? How would that... So you attack, but then it does it. But then would you get the Lurk if the next one does? I'm yeah. I'd have to go back and read the actual keyword of Lurk and how that works. But I'm pretty sure that says when allies attack as well. But I don't think you would get it. So it would work if you're like gonna start another attack, which, you know, you can do, as we've seen with kind of the Snapjaw Swarm type thing. That's how it would work. I'm just kind of wondering though, like how would you use this? Now, don't get me, I love discard synergy. I came from Magic the Gathering, and discard synergies were like my favorite way to play the game. I absolutely love it. And so one day I hope that there is some like discard synergy in Runeterra as well. Because this would be a really funny thing. Like, if every time you discarded a card, say you had a card that was like, I don't know, 5 mana, and every time you discarded a card, it like dealt 1 damage to your opponent. Can you imagine if you did this and then like used that? Use this as like your way of discarding cards. Just a bunch of Ripper's Bay. And you just keep discarding cards, and it's like a stupid combo deck. That sounds something that's right down my alley. But until we get something like that, maybe I'll have to wait. But really interesting. I don't know how this is going to fit in, but it's interesting. And then we have just a 1 mana 1/2 with Lurk, Sharkling. It's quite interesting. They've got a very low curve, as you can see from these units already. The curve is super, super low, which I think is probably going to help. Like, you're going to have, you know, you've got the 1 mana, what is it? A 1 mana 1/1 with Fearsome that you know, if you can get them all to like 4 and 5, then you're gonna have like quite a few. So let's just quickly sort of go over these cards, what I think of them out of 10. So Redfin Hammersnout, I mean, it's just, granting an enemy vulnerable is just pretty good on a body that it can grow up to like, you know, 5, 6, 7 attack. Very useful. So I expect this to be a pretty good card, a card that you'll definitely play within that deck. Probably like a 7 out of 10. Just a solid card. Bloodbay, I think, is going to be essential for this Lurk strategy to work. And maybe could even find play elsewhere. In something like Scouts, like getting an extra attack off, maybe you could kind of hybrid them together. If you get what I mean, like you could maybe create like a kind of like Lurk / Scouts deck. It could be possible, like focusing kind of on Snapjaw Swarm, because getting free attacks in Scouts is pretty good. But it just starts. No, yeah, but that's still pretty good. Yeah, that I think could happen. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Or do you have to have a scout start the free attack? Still, it would help with Misfortune and Quinn if you whether you have a free attack or not. So this is card is going to be essential, I think. So this is like an 8 out of 10, I would say overall. The list, again, I mean, doesn't seem to fit so far what we know about the sort of Lurk package, although there is some synergy there. You could play it. It's not bad, and the card is, I think, pretty good overall. But in Scouts, this is where I think you're going to see it probably most likely. You could get more sort of Scout. There is the Bilgewater Scout that gives something vulnerable. But then, you know, if your strongest ally is a scout and you can challenge it, maybe we go further down that route. It could be possible. You know, you play this with high gun. Maybe you play the hammer snout as well in scouts and, you know, just give something vulnerable, because giving things vulnerable is pretty good anyway. And I could definitely see this there. Again, like a 7 out of 10. Pretty good card. I'm pretty happy with these cards. Like, they seem pretty good. Ripper's Bay. I don't know what to think about this card. It has Lurk itself, but of course there's no attack for it to get itself. When allies attack, discard the top card of your deck if it doesn't have Lurk. Does that mean that it would summon a Jury Rig from the top of your deck? Is that how that would work? I actually don't know the answer to that question, but that would be quite interesting if it did work like that. Maybe that's something I'll try. Maybe that is where I'll go with Ripper's Bay, a Lurk Jinx deck with like a bunch of cards that if you discard, you know, like Flame Chompers and Jury Rig, and it just discards them. That would be pretty funny. But I'm not sure that like, you want to just be going like super quick, attacking as much as you can. You know, that's where I think Lurk is probably going to be. You know, play a bunch of these small units, attack as much as you can, get them up to 4, 5, 6 attacks, so that your opponent kind of always has to block these like little things that you can continually get. You know, try and draw as many cards as you can, and then just go crazy. I think that's where you'll be. So I'm not sure that this is a good card, but I might be missing something. I might be misunderstanding the card, and I'm sure one of you will tell me if I am. So I'm going to give it like a 4 out of 10. But again, if I'm missing like something of this card, then please just let me know. And, you know, potentially it could be nuts. Who knows? But right now, I just don't quite understand the card, maybe. And Sharkling, obviously, might go into Lurk decks, to be honest. I feel like with this, we might underestimate how often and how quickly these Lurk units might grow. If you can get them to, like, say you play this turn 1 and you attack, you have a 1 mana 2/2. That's, you know, it's not that bad if you get the Lurk on the top of your deck. Because it's getting to a point, I think once they showed us with spells that have Lurk, you can start to get to a point where you have like literally 40 cards with Lurk on it. I think that they might genuinely be like, well, let's have it so that is an actual possibility. It wouldn't shock me. And obviously, if you get Rek'Sai, you actually get 2 attack as well. So, suppose you have a 1 mana 3/2, which is obviously really good on turn 1. But like, you could potentially go Sharkling into Snapjaw Swarm on turn 2. Say you're attacking on odds. You attack, so you get the 1 attack. You attack again. You have now a 2 mana 2/2 and a 1 mana 3/2 if they grow from the Lurk again. And then, you know, on turn 3, well, if it's Rek'Sai, then you have a 4/2 and a 3/2. That could be quite scary as well. And then Rek'Sai would be up to what? 1, 2, 3. 3, I think. 3 extra attacks, so it'd be 6. Getting close. You know, this doesn't look as bad as I thought. And I think Sharkling, I mean, it's not a great card on its own. It's probably like a 5, 6 out of 10, but it might fit in the Lurk deck. If it turns out that you kind of need like 40 cards with Lurk on it, then you probably will play Sharkling, if we're being honest. But this potentially does make it a bit worse for those cards that create, you know, random Lurkers in hand. Because this is in the pool now, you know, that does potentially weaken it a bit. But those are the cards for today, and I'm quite excited now for Pyke, because it seems like there's things here. It really does seem like there are some things here, so I am quite excited. So, yeah, let me know if I've missed anything. I'm sure I probably have, but some interesting cards. I particularly like Bloodbait. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a really nice day. I'll be back tomorrow with Pyke reveal. Cannot wait. And so, yeah, I'll see you then.